Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, from beautiful Toronto, Ontario, the house of Turan, the Sandman Sandwith, Tales with TR, and I'm your host, Terry Ryan Jr. And I've been all over the place. NHL playoffs underway, big time. And listen, I just got off the Jason Gregor show last night, which many of you listen to, of course, and hear me on. Usually a couple of times a week. Lately, because of everything else that I have going on, not quite as consistently. But anyway, I was on last night, and Oilers Nation, wow, they're snapping. They're in disarray. They're in disbelief. They can't believe that their wonderful Edmonton Oilers, the battle-tested, playoff-driven, star-studded oil country kings who made it to Game 7 and were a goal at one point, well, let's say a period away from winning the Stanley Cup. And now they're down 2-0. And not only are you down 2-0, I don't want to say playing bad because I don't know. It's real bad. But bad is not the right word. Irresponsibly. They're playing irresponsibly, and I don't believe that the Oilers don't want to win. I mean, obviously they want to win, but I don't believe that they're not motivated, because I say this because they look unmotivated. They look like they got a foot in the water, 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Right? The penalty kill, for example, just not forcing guys, letting them take all the time in the world, which kind of transfers over into 5-on-5. Getting a few chances. That moment in the first game, they came back. That was inspirational, of course. Connor McDavid, Draisaitl. I mean, they always do their jobs, and they're still doing them, right? I mean, these guys are dynamite in the playoffs. I hope when it's said and done, if these guys retire and don't win a cup, that they don't get that label, that they're not winners. Sometimes people do go to the playoffs and fold, right? And let the Toronto Maple Leafs rewrite their own history there. But I don't think that can be said about these guys. I mean, I've often said the NHL playoffs are the hardest playoffs there are. The play steps up. We all got a weapon in our hands. There is no out of bounds. You can't run out of bounds. You get checked into the boards. I don't think there's quite as many fights, but there's definitely more skirmishes. There's more cross checks. There's more hits. There's more block shots. There's more slashes. There's more chaos. And there will be fights. And I think there was one the other. But, I mean, it's playoff hockey, right? You're not watching to watch a specific fight. You're watching to watch compete levels. And you know, you watch your team win for the most part. But I just think, you know, a lot of these guys, I love them too, man. I'm part of the Montreal Canadiens alumni. I mean, I understand there's something to be said for champions and in any era, and how they carry themselves and the country and their fandom. And those, I mean, the Montreal Canadiens legends, some of them coached me and were there when I was there, and you still go back and they're around. And man, are they important. To say they're important to the city is an understatement, but they're almost religious figures. I mean that. If you look at these guys, and Guy Lafleur and Jean Beliveau, I had two coach me, Steve Schutt, Yvon Cormier, were assistant coaches. They were always, Yvon Lambert ran the restaurant in the arena. Serge Savard drafted me, was the GM. Mario Tremblay. I mean, a lot of these legends and Stanley Cup winners from yesteryear. But the further you go back, right, there's only 6 teams. So it's not the players' fault, and it doesn't take anything away from all those great Habs championships, especially when all the other teams didn't win that many. So then I know you might say, well, they got all the French players. Whatever. It was different eras. It was all agreed on by the owners and powers that be, I suppose. The game evolves. Each game evolves. Society evolves. Cultures evolve. So a lot of I don't blame the old Canadians for only having 6 teams, just like I don't blame Babe Ruth for not playing against black players, right? I mean, let's be honest. All his records, people compare everything to Babe Ruth. Okay, but he didn't play against anybody but white people for the most part. And, you know, you're really limiting the talent pool there. I say I'm a proud white person. And can you say that? No, no. Jesus, that's going to be taken out of context. I mean, I'm not saying that they weren't great players, but Babe Ruth did not play against the best players, most of the best players, but not all of the best players. And like it's the same reason it's not Rocket Richard's fault that there was only 6 teams. He still probably would have been that good had there been 32 teams like today. Probably better because it would have been diluted. Now you might have said been way diluted, but I'd say there was no Europeans back then either. Right? You were talking and not many Americans. You're talking about like my dad always brings that up. Yeah, it was less teams, but it was a lot harder to make. I do understand that, but there was a lot less players that you're choosing from, man. Nothing from any other country. Check it out. Go back and look at just because you can look at Elite Prospects or Hockey DB, whichever you choose. Go back and see where these players are from every year. Top 10 scoring, top 20, top everything. 99.5 is Canadian. And then Americans start trickling in, but no Europeans. Might be European names and stuff, from way back that their parents came over, but there was no like revolving door like there is now. And in the junior, CHL draft, having 2 and 3 Europeans coming over. There wasn't even many players. I mean, you know what? It's all different. That's what evolution of any sport is. Look at how I've digressed again to some place, but it's relevant because what I'm saying is that if Connor McDavid, I believe, if he played in the league, what's he going to play? Right? He's in his 8th or 9th year now. So you're probably assuming that these great athletes are going to play between 10 and 20 years, right? Things like Mario Lemieux are tragic in my mind. If you're an athlete and I guess he had cancer. It's not really tragic that he's alive still. Would have been tragic if he passed. But as an athlete and as a hockey fan, and outside of comparing it to actual death or anything, it was a bit tragic that Lemieux only played 800 games or whatever he did, because he was mesmerizing to watch, and would have had a chance at all those records, whatever you talk about, Ovechkin or Gretzky or Gordie Howe. Mark Messier is, I think, a lot of points, right up close to 2,000. A lot of great players, a lot of points, a lot of numbers, but Mario Lemieux would have challenged all of them. I guarantee you that. Look back, please look back. Watch, just type in about biography, Mario Lemieux. If you're a hockey fan, I'm sure you heard the name, but and I'm sure you've seen some highlights. But look at the actual story. Please go back and look at the actual story. He couldn't tie up his own skates. Came back from cancer and just so many amazing things. But if Connor McDavid had played, if he plays 20 years back then, right, then you could really judge him. If he didn't win a cup then, even by now, you're supposed to be this much better than everybody, and you're a decade into your career and you don't have a fucking cup, right? I'm not going to take you seriously. Now, this would be in 1955 or 1965. But 2025, 32 teams, the parity of the league, the parity of the players, man, going out there and everybody's in their top shape, and you're getting each physical specimen at their peak for the most part. Each body, each cell, each muscle is maximized for potential. It just wasn't part of things back then. So now you just got, I think, and what I'm saying is, because of all that, there's not as many flaws in, you're still Connor McDavid, you're one of the best players. But back then, maybe if you wanted to train a little bit, you definitely would have had the one up on a lot of players, because some players, well, my dad will tell you, my dad was a real fast player, very successful player, 49 goals for the Hamilton Red Wings. And I think almost 100 in 3 years that he was there. The other 2 years, 25 and 20 odd. Anyway, the guy could score. Got drafted and had no problem scoring in pro. Even the WHA, like I say, 6 shorthanded goals in a year. Shorthanded, you would have to break free of the D, right? Shorthanded, likely or on some kind of rush. Now, he was known for his skating, but you look at people who score shorthanded goals. across the board, man. They're fast, right? But Dad, he kept himself in. He says he kept himself in shape. You know how in the summer playing baseball, all things. But I think by that he means he took it serious and he trained to some degree. He would jog and keep himself like not 10 pounds overweight, but probably about 10 pounds overweight, not 30 pounds overweight. But anyway, it's so there's not, I just find it harder to go out there and dominate. And when you see him do it time and time again, I hate to overuse the word mesmerizing, but it is like watching Lemieux back then. And Draisaitl the same. Like, these guys are on the same team. And of course, I could name you all kinds of players in the league that are great to watch. Of course I could, right? I could go down through all of them. Mitch Marner, I mean, Leafs fans, Cole Caulfield, really. I mean, when he ever noticed when Cole Caulfield came in, he would shoot more than anything. And this year, he's really made he makes a lot more moves. You see that crazy goal he scored? I think it was against Seattle. No, San Jose. I actually think he walked Celebrini. I could be wrong on that, but I believe it was San Jose in overtime, like through his legs in. Like these, there's so much skill out there, man, and players. You can see the improvement in real time, and it's just amazing. But there's 32 teams, and there's players from all over the world. More and more and more are coming from places you'd never think, like Phoenix, right? Phoenix got a team down there way back when in the mid-90s, and hence Austin Matthews was a fan. Starts going to games. Matthew Nyes. So the two of the Leafs better players. Well, Matthews, but Nyes. Nyes is fourth or fifth in the totem pole there. Great young player, and it's going to really got nothing to do but improve. I think he's from Phoenix too, right? Like a lot of players from California. That was unheard of, but the game expanded, right? And it kept. So I don't like comparing these eras. I mean, I know I sometimes do. I'm guilty of it, and I think the best players, it's relative dominance, like I've talked about. Well, how many Art Rosses do you have? I don't care how many points you scored. How many Art Rosses? Right? That's relative dominance. How many batting championships you got? Right? Okay. The averages are different. The home runs are there's more now than there were then, or more than there are now, whatever it is, whatever hypothetical. You just say, okay, but how many did you win? 10 in a row? I don't care if it was 30 home runs or 150. Right? If you won 10 in a row, then everybody else around you were better than. And when you look at McDavid and Draisaitl in the playoffs, and hockey's the ultimate team game, but they took them, man. They took them all the way there. You can't look at me with a straight face and say that those guys didn't put in everything, and they nearly did it. And if a puck bounced off a leg in the beginning of the third period and goes in the net, completely uncircumstantial, any goal that anybody could score if they were standing in the right place, hit them and bounced in, boom, they win the cup. And those guys get all that credit. Instead, bounce the other way an inch, boom, they lose. Doesn't make them any fucking worse. Now, if they don't ever get to the second round, okay, what's going on? I think that's what's happening in Leafland a lot of the time, right? Now, as I say that, it's 3-0 for the Leafs, and I am a believer. I do believe. I believed in Ovechkin. Took a bit longer. These great players at least find a way to get to the final, right? Then you're talking about best of 16. If you can't get to the fucking final, that's 16 teams, and you're supposed to be, like in Matthews' case, one of the best ever. Now, I fully believe they will. Now, if he gets to the conference final and scores 20 goals in the process, then same shit. You can only fucking do so much. I just veered off in my own direction for 13 minutes of the 15. Anyway, these guys are way fucking better than that. They're not playing confidently. It doesn't seem like they're, I could say, making the right decisions, but they're not bearing down. Like I don't know what it is. Like they know. It doesn't look like fatigue. I would say Game 7 last year, at some point, and the last few years, like a lot of pressure. I could understand if they were maybe a little fatigued, right? And a guy like Evander Kane, who hasn't played in like a year, coming back. I understand all that, but it didn't look like that. It looked like they were tentative, which is really weird. How could you be like tentative and unsure of yourselves? But that's what it looked like. And the Kings, especially in that game too, like they were getting chances. They were uncontested for like 20 feet either way. It was just terrible, sloppy play. It was like exhibition, right? It was like that tentative kind of, I don't know, like a rookie. Like I look in my first game. I'm being completely honest. I got a tape of my first game at home against the Philadelphia Flyers, and we were playing against the Legion of Doom. John Leclerc, I started too, man. It was John Leclerc, Eric Lindros, and Michael Renberg, the Legion of Doom. Three big motherfuckers, man, and they would throw their weight around. And even their D, I remember looking up, and I remember Eric Desjardins, who's like, a big time player. I was growing up. He was a little bit ahead of me and watched all the Habs games, all the Leafs games. So, I knew a lot of players in the league. And I remember seeing Desjardins, but I didn't realize he was that big. I remember going, shit. And they had they had another big D. I'll think of it in a second. He was not Shell Samuelson, but someone like that who was like 6'6". They just had a big squad. Now I play that game, right? And that's what separates the men from the boys. So I wasn't really scared of their physical size. I mean, I wasn't thrilled with it, but I got to go out and compete against that. That's why I was paid money to do that. And I thrived on that. I did. I'm not saying I'm stronger than those guys, but I would go in the corner and there's things you pick up. And back then I did work out with a trainer, and I tried to do what I could and I look forward to those situations normally. But I was just nervous because it was my first game, and they more than their size. I mean, of course, any mammal, I think, looks up, and I think we've evolved to look at size and respect it. But it was more like, these guys were fucking great players too. I mean, Leclerc was on the Habs just a few years before, won a cup with them, one of their better players, definitely more underrated players. And then, you got Lindros, Renberg. But, Eric Lindros, come on. And this was 1996, I suppose. So I just found I was tempted. I didn't want to be, but I was like, I don't even know the timing of this league yet. Like if I dump it in and go get it, am I going to get? Is there a chance that I can beat one of these guys to the puck? Right? Like I was really. That's what I mean. Being unsure of yourself, and of course there was a chance because I was an NHLer just like they were, and it just ended up after a while being okay. I mean, I had the same experience in the American League. They're all American League, NHL. They're still older than you, bigger, faster, all of that when you're first coming in. And then it just becomes old hat. But those first few games of anything, even when I played for the Growlers there, right? It's hard to really judge. Like, where am I going to go? And I know what I'm supposed to do, but you got to get the timing of the game down and the speed which things take place. Otherwise, right, I'd rather err on the side of caution. So it literally looks like you're tentative, but you're tentative more of the situation. Like, should I do this? What should I? I'd rather play it safe. You're playing it safe. That's what the Oilers look like they're trying to do. Play it safe, yet they're leaving people wide open. So they're losing on both ends. Now, it's 2-0 Oilers fans, first of all. And I really I'd be surprised if they go back to Edmonton with all that experience and all those fans going mad. It's a madhouse in there, man. It's some of the loudest buildings you'll ever be in the NHL playoffs. But Edmonton is particularly loud, even for that. So, I think it's going to be 2-1, and then you're right back in it. Will I be disappointed? Yeah, I'm not trying to be biased because I'm at Edmonton radio, but I put my fucking money on them at the beginning of the year, like a lot of other people I know, and I'm not going back on it now. I support them. Love McDavid. That goal he scored with Canada, I'll never forget. It goes up there with Crosby's goal, Lemieux's goal, Henderson's goal. And now we got McDavid's goal, I guess, as far as goals go. Those are the Canadian Mount Rushmores, as far as international play. On the men's side, not disrespect. I'm going to do a episode soon with Maggie Connors, actually some more women, and they can tell this story from their angle. And I don't mean to be ignorant when I say things on here about the best hockey of all time, but the NHL's been going longer. I don't think I'm unique. I'm alone in saying all of these things. Yes, the best hockey players of all time right now. The Mount Rushmore, the people that I often mention, they're on the men's side. The women have their own, and I know as the game grows, like the Hockey Hall of Fame, there are more and more women being inducted and being honored. And totally, because I played the men's side, I talk about it from that point of view. Now, I if you're a female and you want to be on here, you want to, and you've played, or you have ideas, bring it on. I met some awesome girls in the game. Tessa Bonham is going to come on again soon, and Maggie Connors, and Fiona Smith as well. So anyway, I figure I should say that because I have a daughter, and she often reminds me when we're in the car. I'll go like the best something of all time, and she'll go, well, yeah, but what about Serena Williams? And I'll go, yeah, you're right. Like you kind of should include her if you're talking about top athletes, ever. She's so dominant. But I often don't because man, that's the way it goes, I suppose, man. I just grew up, those are my idols, and that's what I play and everything else. But yes, I'll have some women on soon. Where was I? Okay. I'm interviewing actually Nick Sexton of the movie Skeet, which is doing real well, just in about 10 minutes, and that's going to be your 254B for today. But anyway, yeah, I think the Oilers, look, obviously they're not in a good position. They're not. But if anybody can come back, they can. The last thing I'll say is that they seem to make it hard on themselves a lot, right? They've done that. The last two regular seasons, as I recall, they've started like 3-10 or something close to that. They get into the playoffs. They're often, take a penalty at the wrong time. Terrible giveaways. But last year, they've found a way to make it to Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, and lots of teams have been down 2-0. Washington Capitals just a few years ago, and they won the Cup. Like, I'm not saying that's going to happen, Oilers fans. I'm not trying to stroke you in all your fun places and pissing on your back and telling you it's raining. I'm telling you that you're asking me. I think, yes, I think they have a chance, more so than most teams who will be down 2-0. I could go further, but I'm going to head down and watch the Allen Cup semifinal, Clanville Caribous versus the St. John's Caps today. And I got to leave now if I want to do that. Thanks for listening. And I want to interview Nick Sexton. So that's coming up as well. Thanks for listening, guys. If you're downtown St. John's, Newfoundland, and Labrador, and you want to head out, why not check out Trinity Pub? Why not check out Rob Roy Confusion, the Martini Bar, TJ's, Greensleeves Pub, and the Bull and Barrel. If you're going to go for a bite to eat, why not Loose Tie, Blue on Water, Wedgwood Cafe, who also do catering, Ryan Power, Rope Walk Lane, Strength and Balance for the Body and Mind. Mr. Lube, 2 locations in St. John's. One's on Torrey Road, one's on Cabot Road. Live, laugh, lube. GS Construction, laying the groundwork for your community. GS Construction, of course. Check it out if you're in Edmonton, Alberta, and surrounding areas. True Hockey. Take what's yours. Pitbull Pain Relief. Pain sticks, just don't quit. Go to pitbullpainrelief.com. See what all the fuss is about. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, I'll be back real soon with more Tales with TR. Thanks for listening. Catch you on the rebound.